Welcome to another episode of Systematic Geekology. This is a space where we seek to create and cultivate healthy conversations between those things we geek out on and the philosophical and theological questions that often arise out of our fandoms. Like, what does it mean to be human? What makes a hero? What makes a villain? How do the stories and narratives we geek out on shape how we live in the world? We are your priest to the geeks. We aren't all ordained, but we see ourselves as mediators at the intersection of geek culture and going deeper in our faith. We don't always have to agree, but we do respect each other, and we see everyone as a beloved child of God. Everyone geeks out on something, so come geek out with us and enjoy the show.
You're listening to an Anazao Ministries podcast.
Can grown adults cry during a superhero movie trailer? This is Systematic Geekology, here with another What's News episode where we talk about all the latest things going on in the geek culture spectrum. Very excited to be here. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Schaeffer. One of my hosts here, Evan Garcia. Evan, how are you today?
Doing well. How about you?
Man, doing great. It's been great holidays. We had a really nice Christmas here. Been plenty of time to catch up on a lot of geek stuff, so I'm enjoying that. So definitely plenty to talk about today, which I'm looking forward to. And we should have Justin Coleman on in a little bit, hopefully, because we do need a Doctor Who expert on this episode for later to talk about a certain Christmas special there.
Hello.
Yeah, perfect timing. Justin Coleman, what's up, man? How's it going?
Hey, good to see you guys.
Awesome. We literally just introduced you and said we will have a Doctor Who expert on hopefully soon. So right on cue, man. I love it. But yeah.
Right on cue or right on time.
Exactly. Very, very good fun. I love it.
Wibbly wobbly.
Well, for our listeners, viewers out there, again, this is a What's New episode where we're going to talk about all the latest news and geek things in the geek pop culture spectrum. So today we have a lot to cover today because there's been a lot coming at us in the past few weeks. It's the holidays and right at the end of the year. So we are going to be talking about Skeleton Crew, the new Disney Plus Star Wars show. We're going to be talking about multiple stuff going on at DC right now. There's the Superman trailer, Creature Commandos, and then the announcement of a Clayface movie. So we're going to hit on all of those things. Then we will talk about the Mufasa movie, which just came out in the last week, which I know Evan and I have seen. Justin, I don't know if you've gotten to see that yet, but we will. No worries. We will get it. So and then we will hand it over to Justin for the review and insight into the latest Doctor Who Christmas special. So very looking forward to your insights there. But well, guys, before we get started, just for a lightning round here, what are some other things you've been watching, reading, playing? Justin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, I just finished this newest miniseries of What If. I know some of y'all.
Oh, you did? Nice.
That was enjoyable. I really liked the story arc of What If, so I'd highly encourage folks to watch it.
I really need to watch this season. I love the first two. I love the animation and What If is what I wish they would do with Star Wars because I have so many ideas for that. And I think Marvel's done a great job with it. That's actually one of the biggest things I look forward to. So I am going to watch it soon. But did you have without any huge spoilers, did you have a favorite episode from this season or like a premise they did that you really liked?
Ooh, my goodness. I really liked the last 2 or 3 episodes. I mean, that's all I'll say, but it really brought things together in a fun way as we think about what it means to be a watcher. That's all I'll say.
Ooh, nice.
All I will say.
I really hope. I think they've rumored it, but I don't think they confirmed that we will see Jeffrey Wright's Watcher in live action. I'm possibly in Fantastic Four. I've heard a lot of rumors there. I would love to see that.
Sense.
But yeah. Oh, excellent pick, Evan. What about you?
I've been watching with the wife. We've been binge watching a Top Chef I'm sorry, not Top Chef. On Hell's Kitchen.
Gotcha.
Hell's Kitchen. Yeah, so that's a good downtime. Just cram a whole bunch of episodes in, and that are fun, and they really make me feel old because those contestants are like 10 years younger than me. It's like, wow, I feel old.
I think I saw your post on that. You did a tip there. That was good. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, one of my things, I will be talking about this more when Christian and I do a favorite movies of the year episode, which we're probably going to record on New Year's Eve. But he and I actually saw Nosferatu yesterday, which Evan, if you want to pull up the slide there, you can see on this slide we've got there it is. So there you can see Lex Luthor and Kraven the Hunter right there. Nicholas Hoult and Aaron Taylor Johnson. This one I say this is from Robert Eggers. He's wanted to make a Nosferatu Dracula movie for a very long time. And it's been in development on and off for years. If you've seen any other Robert Eggers films like The Witch or The Lighthouse or The Northman, he is one of the most edgy, inventive filmmakers out there. And he can certainly scare the pants out of you. Definitely some good jump scares here. Even though it's a story I think most people are familiar with, I really like his take on it. It is amazing cinematography and music. And a really strong cast. The pacing can be a little slow at times, but I thought it really captured just the gothic atmosphere really well. And it's definitely one I think that will reward on multiple rewatches. So I'm looking forward to it again at some point. But definitely that. So yeah, like I said, we will be doing a favorite movies of the year episode. So I'll be sharing more of my thoughts on it there and a bunch of other movies then.
Right on.
Awesome. Well, awesome, guys. Well, again, we've got a lot to get to today. So let's start first with Skeleton Crew, which is the latest Disney Plus Star Wars series. Have we? I know Evan and Justin, have you gotten to watch the show yet?
Oh, yes.
Excellent. Okay, so we can all talk about this one. So, yeah, I just got caught up this morning, watched the latest episode. But, so if you're unaware of what this is basically the Goonies meets Star Wars, which I did when I watched the pilot. I known about it for months, but when I watched the pilot, I was like, I didn't know how much I needed this. This is it's got a whole child cast. The premise basically is that you have these 4 kids. It's set in the New Republic era, so post original trilogy, and you get to see. We've seen it in Mandalorian before that, the New Republic isn't all that's the full freedom loving organization that the rebellion had fought for. It really has its own kind of fascism and its own problematic structure. So you get a little more insight into that, particularly in the first episode. And so you have these kids from one of the New Republic planets. You're living in this timeline. It's got this classic coming of age feel where they, want more out of life. They want to go on adventures, and they feel kind of trapped into this, I loved it in the first episode where they have a career day type thing. And basically, I think we all did some version of that when we were kids, where you take a little test and it gives you an indication of what you might be good at. And sometimes those are accurate, but it's not this is oh, you pick this and you're set on that for life. Here, it's very much that. They're oh, you pick a career, you work toward that, and that's it. And you, particularly the main character, wants to get away from that. And in the first episode, the kids discover what they think is an old temple, but turns out to be a ship. They are then on autopilot and escorted away from their planet, and they're trying to get back. And meanwhile, there's space pirates, there is planet hopping, there's all these intergalactic stuff. And they meet Jude Law, who may or may not be force sensitive. We'll get to that. So that's a little bit about Skeleton Crew. Justin, Evan, what are your initial thoughts on this so far? We're 5 episodes into, I believe, 7 episodes. So we're getting near the end. What are your thoughts on the series? Evan, we'll start with you.
All right, cool. Yeah, this show has been right off the bat one of my favorites to come out of a Disney Plus so far. The characters are fun. The kids, they took me a second to warm up to them, but I could relate to them, and I like the balance of mystery and the fun and the different versions of adventure that you see throughout the show, and it's always good to see to see Steve Urkel in space, so that's cool.
What's crazy about that is I was watching the episode today, and I had just seen Jaleel White the other day on, I don't know if you know the comedian Adam Ray, but he's one of me and my brother's favorite comedians, and he did a holiday special, and he had Jaleel White there as one of his guests, and so I just seen him, and then this popped up today. I was like, wait, is that Jaleel White? I was like, I love it. Yeah. Everyone is in Star Wars now, and I'm okay with that, but yeah. Awesome. Justin, what about you? What are your thoughts so far? And also, too, if you like back around with the Goonies, I'm curious about too, because since it is such a heavy reference.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like the vibe of the show. I mean, it's really fun, as you said, the characters that are in it. I mean, if you are a fan of Goonies, if you've seen that, then this will definitely pull you in, because you have this band of kids on an adventure. Now, one of the things that I would say, just as a part of the orientation to the show, is that the main character, kid, you might say his main character, is he sets out on this path because he's enamored of the Jedi, one, and of their adventures. And so even when he finds this ship that he thinks is a temple, he thinks it's a Jedi temple. And as he encounters Jude Law's character, who may be force sensitive, then it's also this, like, are you a Jedi? I mean, there is this sense of the romanticizing of the Jedi that is a part of this in the background, but just enough of a part where the kid longs for it, but we also, as viewers, kind of long for that romanticization of adventure that the Jedi Order provide.
Yeah, like touching on that, it kind of reminds me, at least for me and my little group of friends that were around when the prequels were coming out, I had that romanticism about the Jedi and stuff like that. So that's a good point. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, like, they say, I always love the line, like in Attack of the Clones, when Mace Windu says, "We are keepers of peace, not soldiers." And literally in the same movie, he's taking down an army, and they all become generals quickly after, once the Clone Wars begun. So the Jedi have always had this, like, I think, like, on paper, they know they're supposed to be more peacekeeping, only using violence when necessary. But and they shun, they say Anakin and Luke were both too old to become Jedi because they have that lust for adventure in them. But in reality, the Jedi are just as flawed as anyone else. And I think this, is what it taps into that of, this, longing for adventure. Is that a good or bad thing? Is there a balance to be found there? So I do like it brings up those themes. And again, looking at going back to the New Republic, and the rebellion spent so much time fighting for freedom from the Empire and to start something new. And like I said, they ended at this in Mandalorian. Especially when they did that episode, it was like basically an Andor episode, but kind of shuffled into Mandalorian in season 3. But that character said oh, they're just two sides of the same coin, the Empire and the Republic. They're all different forms of fascism. And I think this is what it definitely hits that on here. And particularly looking at the characters here. So the father of the main character is very much a rule follower, and he wants his son to follow in the footsteps. And like part of that, I think, is driven by, okay, so the mother has passed away. The dad's trying to survive and he wants to like do what's best for his kid. And so he's worried about his son's sense of adventure. And likewise too with, is it Kira or Fern, sorry. That like her mom is like that too. And there's that interaction between both of those parents in episode 5 where they like the dad does realize like they're going to have to break some rules in order to find their kids because this is a desperate situation. And he has to kind of convince the other parent to do Fern's mom to go along with them on that, so that gives you an indication of how much like rules and more than that, but like ultimate subservience is prevalent in this world. And it was fascinating too, looking at that pilot episode, the suburban atmosphere of this world. That's something we hadn't really seen in Star Wars and that I do appreciate is that there's more world building here. There's different locations we get to see, different planets that we don't have to see another Tatooine, another Zan planet, or another Hoth. Like we get different locations here. And this one, so we learn as the series goes on that this is a planet that has kind of been off the grid and isolated and is not as technologically advanced as other parts of the galaxy because it has been kind of cut off and isolated. And that is something I really found interesting because, again, going back to how we haven't seen a suburban area in Star Wars before, it makes sense that like this planet looks, it's still advanced, but it basically looks like what Earth might be in, let's say, I don't know, 30 to 40 years, something like that. Like I could see, if we get to like have, just like floating cars and stuff like that and speeders, but like aesthetically, it looks more possible for what Earth could look like, in a few decades versus something as, otherworldly as Coruscant or something like that, Right. So I always found those themes interesting. But yeah, I guess, what do you guys think about that? Just what it says about the New Republic now, and going back again to that like lust for adventure, but also that need for humanity that the kids recognize.
So here's what I'd say about it. I am a person who sometimes misses the idealism of what one might think of as an idealism of early Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's also an idealism you find in. I'm a Star Trek fan as well. The idealism of that, but you got to remember that moving from the 70s into the 80s, thinking about the original trilogy, we were in a time when we just been through some crap as a country. Yeah. And there was this sense that we are moving beyond it, or trying to move beyond it, and trying to clarify that which is the different parts of the force, clarify the different forces, right? And we live in a time now, socially and politically, where we are wont to say that in a two-party system, for instance, that it's the same size, it's two wings but the same bird, right? Yeah. Left wing, right wing, same bird. One of my friends say. So it's just mirror images, and so we are wont to complicate and even look for the complication in all of our heroes. I mean, this is why, this is why people like Mr. Rogers would like break our brains a bit, because everybody's like, well, isn't there something? They're just like, can somebody find a thing that this dude did that was not wholesome? And it's like we both don't want it and we want it, because the brokenness really we feel like mirrors us. I kind of like a show that says, no, we got to try to move beyond the brokenness. And I love the idea of the Jedi as aspiring beyond the brokenness. Now, that said, I think that this show acts as a mirror to our current age, and it's important to artistically critique that troubled milieu, right?
That really is a great point.
For sure.
I love that. Evan, did you want to add to that?
I'd like to add to it in the sense of they do a great job in emphasizing that, but as well teasing the Star Wars lore and teasing the mystery and it's not so bogged down with, oh, he's a Jedi and he's not, but it's still doing that very sharp commentary where it's kind of obvious, but it's not. So it's doing it well. There's a theory that I have. It's a far-fetched one, and it's got to do with Fern. And I noticed that her speeder from the first episode was red. And that clicked with me with the book Where the Red Fern Grows. Oh. And I'm like, this show is pointing to all those directions, like you said, Justin, about like bringing back to that simplicity. Star Wars is very simple like that. So I'm like, oof, I don't know what's going to happen, but something deep's going to happen to Fern, I think. Oof. And it's going to, yeah.
Wow, I had not caught that at all. That is a great point.
Very cool.
Yeah. This is what I love about these conversations. Like, well, and you think about too. So the co-creator who co-wrote, directed the pilot and several episodes is John Watts, who directed the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy. Which you look at that, and there is a heavy nostalgia there in terms of there's a lot of John Hughes 80s influence in those movies, and there's a lot of 80s influence here. But at the same time, I think it does, while capitalizing on nostalgia, it also brings it into a modern context, as you guys both discussed here. Like, I mean, this is those themes that are very apparent today of like, how do we look at the world from a social and political angle, and wrestle with those themes of like Justin, you brought like these the two-party system, and where are we going in like balancing a lust for but like a desire for humanity, for freedom, and then also looking at kind of the societal structures around us. So I think it does really hit on those themes really well, while definitely being a love letter to the Goonies and old school Star Wars. There is still very much a modern touch to it that has a bit more of a sci-fi angle than just like the classic space opera fantasy that is in the heart and soul of Star Wars.
This last episode had one of my favorite moments in, I think, maybe all of Star Wars now, because I've seen it like twice now. It's that part with Wim and the lightsaber where he has to turn it on.
He turns it on and he's pointing it down. I'm like,
yes.
And
I saw it from a mile away, but when it happened, I felt so seen, almost like, oh, that's me. That will be totally be me.
It's so funny too, because like my nephews are 4 and 3, and when they play with toy lightsabers, they hold it like that too. So I was like, that was so accurate. Like, and the way the camera angle did it, it looked like he was about to all right, but then they couldn't show that. I was like, I love it, and then and then quite a tease at the end there. Sounds good. The end of the episode 2, when Jude Law ignites the lightsaber, it goes to a black right as he does it. But Jude Law taking a villainous turn, which I guess is not too like. I like that Fern has been the sensible one of the group, not trusting him, and like has been that like she's destined to be the captain because like he's been the one kind of holding them together, even though they know they need a way home and they need kind of a guide. But Jude Law from the beginning has been very fishy, and you're not really sure what side he's playing on. So I thought that was a good reveal. I'm curious now how the rest of the series will play out. And what I will say the only if I had to give like any criticism here is that part of me was thinking about this today, just because some of the episodes have been a little bit slower. I do wonder if this one would have worked better as a movie, because there's some pacing issues that I think they could, it doesn't feel excessive, but I also, movie A, you get a bigger budget. I think this would be a great family one to see. You know, like Star Wars kid, and like they could have condensed it just a little bit. Still have really a lot of the same beats to the story, but it might have worked better as a movie than a full 7-episode series. Because I could be wrong. I don't know if they have this planned as a multi-season show or not. We, you know, there's a number of factors that have been on this, but looking at this right now, you could tell a full story, have it just be as big of a basket, and even more so in a movie format than a miniseries here. So that would be my only thought there. But I know it just in this day and age, especially, and since Disney Star Wars hasn't had as much success with the movies, they've been, you know, pushing to streaming for a while now. So I get the motive there, but also I do like Skeleton Crew just sounds like a really cool movie. And it would have been fun on the big screen.
For sure.
Yeah. But
cool.
But overall, yeah, really entertaining. I love your little blurb there about the hut in a spa in a tub there. Like
that was fun, right?
A spa centric episode here where we also got Jaleel White. This was a fun one. But yeah. Well, any other thoughts on Skeleton Crew before we move on to the next topic?
Give me more.
Yeah, sounds good. I look forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out, and I'm sure we'll discuss it in the new year once it's wrapped up. But yeah, Sweet.
All right.
Awesome. Well, moving on, we've got a lot of DC stuff to talk about, which I'm very excited for. Okay, so Superman trailer obviously dropped right before Christmas. We've been anticipating for a long time. For anyone who doesn't know, the DCU is now under the supervision of James Gunn and Peter Safran, and they announced shortly after coming into the positions as co-CEOs of DC Studios that they would be revamping the universe, and that we would get new actors filling the roles, a new story, and that Superman was going to be the main launch of his new DCU. Creature Commandos is sort of the official launch. We'll get to that in a few, but Superman, he's going to be the first big epic movie coming in on July 11th, 2025. And finally got the trailer. I don't know about you guys. I got very emotional watching this. This looks like the DC I've been waiting for so long. As a longtime DC fan, particularly of the animated universe, so that was my bread and butter growing up, and then the comics and, you know, various movies. But watching this trailer, it looked like such a great fusion of both Superman the Animated Series, which I love and I've been rewatching, and then, of course, the Christopher Reeve, Richard Donner movies, which are just incredibly iconic. And the way that they did the score here in the trailer as like an electric guitar homage to John Williams' theme, I was in tears there. I absolutely loved it. And you get to see Crypto. You get to see the first images of Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Lois Lane, the Daily Planet, the Kent Farm. All these things that just are quintessentially Superman. And, you know, I definitely want to get you guys' thoughts on this, but I think what I love the most is that it is totally unashamed of the comic book origins here. This is Superman straight from the pages of the comics. And particularly with a character like Superman, you know, people, and particularly Hollywood studios, have been so hesitant to really embrace the core aspects of Superman. They feel that I've seen so many filmmakers, so many studio execs out there say that, he's just like hard to modernize. He's hard to like bring into a modern context, which I've said it before on the show. I'll say it again, that is like complete BS. I think if, like, Justin, you were talking earlier about how Star Wars came at such a tumultuous time in the 70s, and just, it was at the same time that the 1978 Superman came. Right now in our world, I don't think there's a better time. We need a Superman movie. We need a Superman story, a story to believe in hope. And that doesn't diminish any of the horrors of the world. But, and I think what I love too is that this is not an origin story for Superman. James Gunn has said that this is a world already populated by superheroes and fantasy. And there are darker elements, and where Superman's place in this is he's bringing hope to a world that has become more cynical and that has become more, hesitant and trepidatious toward a lot of the changes going on. And this is the hopeful, classic, optimistic Superman that we need right now. So I could not be more excited for this movie. I can't wait for July. I would love to know you guys' thoughts. So like Justin, because I don't know if we've talked like DC stuff before. So like, what's your thoughts on the trailer and kind of your background with DC and Superman?
Well, I am, I've said in the past that I'm a little bit more of a Marvel guy. I don't know that that's completely true. I mean, I love DC, particularly these kind of the Justice League set of characters, and again, those cartoons were core to me and part of growing up as well. I think that one of the things that I love about this trailer, I love about the assumption that we're already in a world populated by superheroes is I think that we've made this mistake of having to do origin stories for characters that have lived in our public consciousness for so long. No one really needs an origin story. Even if you don't watch all the Superman stuff, you probably know a bit of the origin. You really just want to see the character in action. You want to see the character connected, particularly in this, with some of these other characters that we've known from the broader DC comic universe. And so I think it's great that we have these characters coming together for what looks to be an epic film. Who hasn't wanted to see Crypto like this? Who hasn't? I mean, like Crypto is already my favorite part of this movie that I've not seen yet. I think it's fun to take the worst iteration of a Green Lantern, like
right?
Like most annoying version of a Green Lantern is like
I choked on my coffee when I saw him. I was like, no way.
and let's make it comic book accurate, because that's why the hardcore fans of it love it anyway. So give us this, and I think that's what some of these other superhero movies are figuring out as well. It's like, you don't need to make it plausible in the real world.
Realistic.
No, you just need to make it what we nostalgically want to see.
Yes. And I think with DC, especially because like Marvel does take place like on Earth. Obviously, there's Asgard and everything, but like that, like Marvel is more like about the gritty aspect of showing that ordinary people can become superheroes, and it takes place in like more than half the Marvel universe lives in New York. So like that, DC has always had fictional locations like Gotham City, like Metropolis, like Central City that yes, they take inspiration from real world locations, but they're meant to be their own universe. And I think that was one of the biggest problems with the DCEU and like the Snyder, and I don't want to get into like too much Snyder stuff, like because there's a lot of that kind of movies I quite enjoy, but I think that was one of the biggest problems like with Man of Steel, and so like that era was they were trying so hard to imagine what if these characters existed in our world, and I'm like, that is fun as an alternate universe type thing, but that's not what I want to see in the mainline Superman movies. I want to see Metropolis, and I want to see the Daily Planet global symbol not looking like a real life newspaper building. I want to see the fictional glorious pages of Metropolis and DC Comics come to life. And this trailer had all of that, and it made me so emotional. I cannot wait. So. Mm-hmm. Evan, what about you? Any thoughts on the trailer, or just like anything DC related with your background with Superman?
No, yeah, I agree with you guys. You guys said everything very well said. The trailer did what it's supposed to do, and it's making the fandom excited for the Superman movie again. And I'm excited for the place that it's going to fit in to not just the storyline and the canon, but how it's going to fit in with our fandom and the commentary of our world now. But Kevin, you bring up a cool point that it's a plus. It's not a minus that it's not an origin story.
Yes.
Because I think that can be done very well done, because to kind of tie it into the Skeleton Crew, John Watts and the Spider-Man movies did a fantastic job in doing a meta version of a origin story.
Yes.
So I'm like, that kind of makes me excited to see what they do with the superhero. You know what I mean? Like, he is the superhero to me. When I think of superheroes, I think of Superman, and that's how it was as a kid. That's how it is now. Another point I wanted to bring up to tie it to Skeleton Crew is there's a connection with Richard Donner from the director of the first Superman.
Yep.
Was Richard Donner correct?
He did. He directed it. Because The Goonies was directed by Donner, written by Chris Columbus, produced by Spielberg. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And in Skeleton Crew, the name of the pirate was called Renaud.
Yes.
Renaud is a Donner backwards.
I love it.
No way.
They put some fun Easter eggs in there. I love it. Yeah.
Yes.
Anytime I do rewatching Smallville, I catch a Donner reference there. I always love when they do that. It's so much fun. But
if the movie stinks and it's a big flop, which it could be, we don't know, but we will still have this trailer. It's like,
that's true. Yeah,
this trailer was just so good. It was just a solid trailer.
And I am still prepared for what if the movie isn't good? I still have a lot of hope in James Gunn, because I really don't think he's made a bad movie. There's ones. Suicide Squad is one of my favorite comic movies of all time. I love the Guardians trilogy. I love a lot of his earlier stuff before he was big. So I do have faith in the amount of effort and heart and sincerity he's put into this gives me a lot of hope, but I am still prepared for that. But like you said, this trailer though alone is one, I'm going to keep coming back to it. And Justin, like you said, it's everyone knows Superman. I'm also so glad they're not doing an origin. Because even my dad grew up on the George Reeves Superman series, and he's not even a comic book fan, but everyone knows some inkling of Superman's origin. We don't need that told again and again. We can have this in an established universe, and I cannot wait. I'd say out of the side characters, I'm really excited to probably Mr. Terrific is the one. Of course, Crypto is the one everyone's looking for. But Mr. Terrific, I'm really excited to see what I'll do with there. And then Hawkgirl, because I was a huge fan growing up of the Justice League animated series, and she was one of the key players there. I cannot wait for July 11th. And seeing David Gore. Oh, I was about to say a quick thing too. Looking at the footage of him here as Clark and as Superman, I love what they did there, because his look as Clark is almost copy of Frank Whitley's version in All-Star Superman, which James kind of cited as a major influence. But yes, the curly hair, I'm yes, I love this, because in that version, there is no it's totally acceptable for people to not know that Clark Kent is Superman, because they really do look here in the trailer two different people. So I love that they did that. And also, I have to admit that part that really got me in the trailer is the when it zooms in on the kid in Bavaria, which is a fictional country from DC, and he's just holding up the flag in a war-torn country, and he's saying Superman. That just got me, because I was oh, this is you're hitting all the emotions here in such a good way. I love it. But so I could keep gushing, but but needless to say, we are all stoked for this, and we will definitely do a lot of Superman stuff in 2025 leading up to the movie. So, and then also on DC, So Creature Commandos. Have you gotten to watch the show yet?
I've not watched this one yet.
Okay, no worries. So, like, I don't really want to do big spoilers here because they're like I was telling Evan before we started recording. There's one episode that does a weasel origin, which was heartbreaking, and I really don't want to spoil whether it's like all I'll say is that it alludes to that line in the Suicide Squad when Rick Flag says, like, I mean, yeah, he murdered 27 children, but like, right, and like, and it's done this like dark humor kind of thing in typical James Gunn fashion. But all I'll say is it reveals the origin of there. And then I won't say anything more than that because I don't want you to like know if it does it in a like sympathetic way to Weasel or not. But just that episode, that scene specifically has been my favorite in a gut punching way. But Creature Commandos is very Suicide Squad adjacent. Basically, in the aftermath of Peacemaker, now that Amanda Waller is forbidden to use humans for Black Ops missions like this, she turns to monsters. So she's got like Weasel, Dr. Phosphorus, played by Alan Tudyk, the Bride, like as in the Bride of Frankenstein, G.I. Robot, who was probably my favorite character here. A really very quirky cast led by Rick Flag Sr., played by Frank Grillo, who he was actually one of the first cast members announced in James Gunn's DCU. He will appear in Superman. And that's one of the really cool things I like about this CA universe is that any of the voice actors in animation, they will play those parts in live action as well, and vice versa. So I really like that continuity there. But this is a very James Gunn show. It's got all of the heavy soundtrack. It's got really out there quirky characters and, hyper violence, and it's very adult animation oriented. I am really enjoying it so far. I don't know if I would put it as like one of the best animated shows I've ever seen or anything like that, but it's, as a huge fan of the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, it's a great follow up to that. I love the animation. I love the voice casting. Again, I don't want to spoil too much plot wise, but I will say the mission they're on for most of the season so far has been dealing with the sons of Themyscira, I think, like basically like this kind of like men's rights group adjacent to Themyscira. Which I do love the humor there and commentary. And they're teaming up with Cersei. So it's which is a fun way too to introduce the Amazon Themyscira side of things. So I'm enjoying that. I love all the voice casting. I think David Harbour's Frankenstein has been a huge highlight for me so far, and I think all the fans are anxiously awaiting whenever he's going to show up in live action, which I have no doubt we will see the characters in live action at some point. But what I like too about James Gunn's approach is that he wants to make this a very screenplay driven first project. So he's not greenlighting anything until he's happy with the script. Which I really appreciate that approach. Instead of like, as much as I love the MCU, particularly the past few years, they've greenlit so many projects. Some have been really good, others not so much. And I think I like the approach of let's slow down. I'm not going to, greenlight projects just for fan service. I want to make sure we have a good story in place. So I really respect that. But I do think we will see these characters in live action eventually. They did just announce that Creature Commandos has gotten a second season. So I'm really excited there.
Oh,
but yeah. But Evan, just from the first episode though, what did you think?
I am so glad that James Gunn chose this as the first thing to come out of his DC portfolio, I guess, because it's so him, and it basically sets the tone for what's coming, I think. So yeah, it's great. It's making me look forward to some good content from the DC side, because we've been kind of lacking it.
Totally. Yeah, it was perfect for Christmas season. Just like, it's been a great holiday watch. And I almost premiered, I think, almost exactly around the same time as Skeleton Crew. So they've been kind of coming out weekly. Right. So the seasons will wrap up around the same time too. So yeah, I don't have much to say other than really enjoying it so far. I don't know if they I guess what a friend did start it, and he was like, man, this is like so similar to Suicide Squad. I'm not going to deny that. I do think there are differences, but tonally, yes, it is very so. But as a huge fan of Suicide Squad, I love that. So if you're not as much into the anti-hero squad like that, then this might not be the best show for you. But Superman's coming. If you're waiting for that, that's okay. But I do think this is a great kind of like fold over, like you said, intro to James Gunn's DC universe. This was in the trailer too, but I love the DC Studios logo. Right before at the beginning of the show starts, it has old school Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster Superman, pulling his arms out, and the logo revealing. I love that. That just gives such an indication of what this universe will be going forward. There is such a reverence for the history of DC and its various periods and timelines. So I really love that. But yeah, so I definitely check out Creature Commandos. And also I did want to mention too, the one other story going on with DC right now is that James Gunn has greenlit a Clayface movie written by Mike Flanagan, who is one of the really best horror filmmakers today, not just in horror, but he's created some of the best horror shows in recent years, from Midnight Mass, Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Blind Manor. He did Dr. Sleep, the movie. So he's got more projects on the way. He just pitched this to James Gunn as a passion project. And again, going back to how James Gunn is very much screenplay driven here, he loved the script so much that he has greenlit this ahead of even introducing a Batman movie in this universe. So, which gives me, I really like that approach. And Clayface does actually make an appearance in Creature Commandos in the most recent episode. So I'm really excited. I mean, Clayface is a great character. I don't know, like Justin and Evan, do you guys have any background with the character? I love him, especially from Batman the Animated Series, but also the James Tynion Detective Comics run. But do you guys have any kind of thoughts on that, or Clayface as a movie?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly have enjoyed Clayface in the animated series. I mean, that was my first, and I think that one of the fun things that we see going on here in DC already is playing with these characters that are just a little bit offbeat, a little bit strange, a little bit curious, and then but they're so very interesting. They've always been so very interesting. Clayface is a tragic Shakespearean character in some ways, right? And so I think that it's really interesting to explore this kind of tragedy, this kind of tragic character, especially when you add that touch of horror genre, because this really is horrific. I think it could be really interesting. So fascinated to see where it goes.
Absolutely. No, it's a very much a horror tragedy. I mean, there's been multiple versions of Clayface throughout the comics history, but kind of the most well-known version that's been more cemented as kind of the definitive origin. They changed the name of both Matt Hagen, Basil Carlo. I think this will be Basil Carlo, but still the story of an actor who wants nothing more to, have his chance at fame and glory, and a disastrous accident turns him into a monster, shape-shifting monster. And he is banished from Hollywood because of his hideous appearance. And there are a lot of Clayface stories out there. And I like that, like I was mentioning the Detective Comics run by James Tynion, they make him a part of the Bat family, actually. So they make him more into a hero there. And I really love that because and that's why I'm curious about with Mike Flanagan's movie, if it will be both like a tragedy and a redemption story. There's a lot of ways he could go with it. And it is just, he's one of the most fascinating characters, maybe not as mainstream and as well known outside the comics world, but I think that's a good thing because I think this will be a great introduction for many people. And there are so many great Clayface stories out there. So I'm very excited for this. They've not announced if Mike Flanagan is going to direct it. I hope he does. Or James Gunn may want to, I'm not sure. But it is written by Flanagan. Again, one of my favorite storytellers, filmmakers working today. So I am very excited for this. So it has a, I think, fall 2026 release date. We're actually getting that even before the Batman Part 2, the Matt Reeves one, got pushed back again, actually. That's not coming now until 2027. But again, and the DCU Batman has not even been announced casting wise. We know it's going to be Brave and the Bold, and it's going to be Damian Wayne's Robin and all that. But yeah, I like this story first approach, and if we get a Clayface movie first and it's great, I'm perfectly okay with that. So that's exciting. So yeah. Awesome. Well, a lot of DC news going on here. I'm going to take a break talking for a sec. Let's go to actually next to Doctor Who, because Justin, I want to hear your thoughts on the latest Doctor Who Christmas special. Evan, if you want to pull up that slide. So Justin, first off, like Evan and I were talking about, because I'm not a Whovian. I have many friends who are, but like with the history of the Christmas specials, is this typically when they introduce and how they introduce a new Doctor, or has this guy already been the Doctor for some time now?
Yes, he's been the Doctor he's of course our most recent iteration, yes, and has been the Doctor for a season. We got to see him at a Christmas special, and then have his first season. Sometimes we have an introduction to a Doctor at around a Christmas special, but part of the Christmas special piece in the Doctor Who universe is really it's almost a standalone in that it's meant to be a special, heartwarming, Christmas centric, allow you to savor time with a Doctor that you have come to love or are coming to love. And this was one such piece. Now, I am sitting here in my Tom Baker Fourth Doctor robe here. I've got with the built-in scarf, so I'm all ready to to do some Doctor Who.
Absolutely. Well, so I'm gonna just ask a question here. So first off, like, what did you think of this Christmas special in particular, and how did it compare to other ones?
I thought this Christmas special was okay. Now, we just had, we've had some really strong Doctor Who specials here as of late. But this Christmas special did take us back to the heartwarming storyline. This was one of the most, and I'm trying to remember, I might even say this was the most Christian connecting Doctor Who special in that. So I'm not sure how many spoilers to give here, but you do have, you do have. So Joy to the World. So we're thinking about Christmas Carol here, and the companion for this show, this particular special, is Joy, and she ends up becoming the star, giving birth to, in a certain way, the star that the Magi follow to see where Jesus was born. And so she does this because there's this thing that is perhaps intended to be a weapon initially, but is this star that will get inside a person and then go to the location that it's specified, and then burst into this and become this star. So it's this incubating star that they're trying to figure out what it is for the course of the episode. But in it, Joy really becomes her name, and she offers this joy again to the world, warms the Doctor's heart. it's really nice to see over the course of the episode the Doctor, who can be a lonely, solitary character, spend quite a bit of time in a place, spends a year. One of the sweetest things is spends a year with a person in a hotel. And so part of what the episode reminds us is of the importance of the people who are cherishing the people who are around us, the people that we've been given, and how those people can help to make each and every day so special. So part of what they talk about is a chair that's in this hotel room. And then just simply asking people to have a chair, asking somebody to sit down with you and to have a chat, to play a board game with, to talk about life with. And so it's a reminder of the importance of friendship and the importance of gratitude, and how these things help to cultivate joy in our lives. And then by the time the episode's over and the star has come to be, and we've already experienced vicariously through the Doctor and these characters around the Doctor a sense of joy, then you realize that all this ends up taking place above this little town of Bethlehem. So it's a lot of fun.
Love that.
Yeah, it's really nice. Now there are a couple things in the episode that I like. There's this time hotel where you can access different points of time, and I think, hell, it seems like a Time Lord would have known that such a hotel exists as something that has the potential of messing up
have a room
time and timelines. But they didn't mess with that too much. It was a fun episode.
Who knows? He might have a suite,
You're right.
He's got it right, and maybe that'll show up in the next season. We'll see. But yeah. But that's really interesting thematically how it does all that. I mean, I think that is exactly the same thing about Doctor Who's Legacy is it always, because I've only seen bits here and there, but it does obviously go around to all points in history, look at different religious themes, sociocultural. So this one seemed, that was interesting that it did leaned in very heavy on Christian themes here.
Yeah. And I love it when sci-fi shows do that. Some shy away from it, and and Doctor Who is one of these that could easily shy away, but no, instead leans right on in.
I think it shows maturity in the storytellers that they can use it as a medium almost, and it just and it be just as relevant as anything out there. Yeah, love when they do that.
Yeah. So and I think for this iteration of Doctor Who, that some have said really has in some of the characterizations and the themes taken up, particularly in some of the specials in the past, and it has a stronger progressivism that's a part of it here and there.
Right.
I think leaning in and saying, hey, we're going to take this a fairly traditional Christian theme here and really honor it and celebrate it in its own way is, I think it's good sensitivity to the season, and part of what makes the season important for so many people.
Very cool. How does it compare to the all-time classic of the Star Wars holiday special?
It is all up for everything is up from there. It is light years away, galaxies far, far away from the Star Wars Christmas special.
I'm sure listeners want. Oh gosh, yeah. Listeners here out there, if you've never seen it, I will say it's better to watch it with a crowd and probably intoxicated, but yeah, it is an experience if you've never seen it. I'm sure it's one of the things you've heard about infamously for years and years, but I would recommend just experience it for the My favorite, though, like genre holiday special has become the Guardians of the Galaxy one from a few years ago. That was a delightful surprise. Like I rewatched that. I rewatched it this season, and like you got the Guardians kidnapping Kevin Bacon, and then he does a big sign. The soundtrack is really good too. Like the song he does, and the ones in the beginning.
That was David Crowder's house too.
Really? Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
David Crowder's real house. They filmed.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah,
okay. Interesting.
It's wild.
But yeah, that is one. But yeah, that's a fun one. Well, awesome. So it sounds like good thumbs up for this. And then when does the new season premiere, Justin? Do you know?
That is really, I should know this. I usually always know this, but I don't know this
Gotcha.
today.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's on Disney Plus, right?
It is on Disney Plus,
Yeah.
and
Awesome.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, this has been a fun Doctor to get to know, and we've got already word that there is a new companion that will be joining the Doctor during this season, and so you always have high hopes of the chemistry that happens between the Doctor and the companion. So anyway, yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Very cool. Awesome. Let us move on to last topic here, which is the new Mufasa movie, Mufasa the Lion King, just came out in theaters. So I'll start on this one. So first off, as big as a Lion King fan as I am, like I didn't even see the 2019 one. Although I've seen clips of, and I love Jon Favreau, but when they announced that one, I thought it was like the dumbest idea to do, and kind of like heresy in some ways to do a shot for shot remake with like photorealistic animation that didn't really have anything new. And from everything I heard and read about it, I was like, I don't think I really missed out on this because like they tried to do it so photorealistic that the characters didn't have really any emotions. So I was like, I was okay skipping out on that one. When they announced this one, on its face, I was like, I don't necessarily need a Mufasa origin movie. When they announced the director, I was on board because Barry Jenkins did this one, who is the director of Moonlight, If Beale Street Could Talk. And I read interviews where he said, like, even when Disney first approached him about it, he wasn't like totally sold on it. And then he read the script and said, yeah, I'll do it because I do like this story. So I went in with that. I was like, okay, I'm like, I'll go see it. It might be a fun, holiday movie to check out. More family oriented, and also just from the trailer, the animation looked a lot better than it did in 2019. So and they looked like there was more emotions there. So I went in with that approach. And I have to say, I mean, we'll get more into it, but I quite enjoyed this actually. So I do think that it was a huge improvement animation wise. I did like the story here. There are obviously beats here that like you're expecting, and like, of course, this is going to show how Scar became Scar and how how he got the Scar. And I wanted to see that. I didn't really want a Mufasa and Scar origin movie without revealing that. But story-wise, I would say what I really liked about it is that it made you more sympathetic to Scar without villainizing Mufasa. That was kind of I'm like, I don't want this to ruin Mufasa for me, and saying make him out to be the bad guy. I liked how they did this as an approach of like, you understand where Scar, or in this case, he's Taka, where Taka's jealousy and bitterness stems from. But also Mufasa was a natural born leader and more equipped to put, his own desires aside and be there for everyone else. So I like that. I liked exploring their relationship as young cubs and then eventually becoming kind of adopted brothers. It had, whereas like the Lion King story is very much inspired by Hamlet. This has echoes of Moses and the Ten Commandments of Mufasa as like an orphan who comes into line with the royal family, has a brother who eventually betrays him, so, and I liked how it, paid homage to all of that. The themes were really apparent. Like I said, the animation was vastly improved from 2019. Music wise, the songs weren't amazing. I did like I Always Wanted a Brother. The rest of them were okay. They weren't like Lin-Manuel Miranda showstoppers, but they were sufficient. In some ways, I feel like they made this a musical because they had to, but it actually kind of would have benefited as just being just score driven instead of having songs in there. Because I always wanted Brother felt pretty organic, but some of the others were like the villain song was probably the weakest.
Yes,
some of the others,
totally.
right. And also I love Mads Mikkelsen, but Riley, he just have a great song to work with, but he's not great singer there. And so they had all those, but then I really did love the casting elsewhere. And they do a great tribute to James Earl Jones at the beginning. But I thought Aaron Pierre did a great job as a young Mufasa, and Kelvin Harrison Jr. as Taka. So really good casting across the border. So I quite enjoyed this. This was probably on my old podcast, we used to do a most surprising movie of the year whether it was one you were really enjoyed and didn't expect to, or really disappointed by it, and then and thought it was going to be great. This would definitely be my most surprising of the year. In that, again, on paper, I'm like, I don't really need a Mufasa movie, but this was quite good, and this had all the DNA of a Barry Jenkins movie. So, Evan, I know you saw it. Justin, have you gotten to see it yet?
I've not gotten to see it, but I'll just say quickly, just having heard you talk about it, I'm even more inspired to see it than I was before. Especially because one of the things I was worried about was this modern thing that we do, in that we elevate the villain, and give quite a bit of compassion toward the villain. Now, I think that's good. I think seeing the villain as more than a two-dimensional character, and saying, gosh, anyone who's villainous, villainy comes from some place of brokenness or pain. It comes from some place, and that if you can get into that, you can both understand the villainy and maybe even see the possibility of healing there.
Yes.
Well, I think you can do that without showing, well, gosh, but the hero is just a mess, and not like the hero that we thought they were. So I'm glad for the compassion on the one side, but also to see the heroism emerging from Mufasa.
And that's the thing about without huge spoilers here. It's like Taka is the rightful heir to the throne of his family. Like, he's born into a royal family. Mufasa is not. And Mufasa is hesitant to become a leader when because it shows how they discover Pride Rock and everything. But ultimately, he is the natural born leader, and this kind of presents it as Scar would have been a great right hand man to him if he had saved it. They could have ruled together and really ruled well if he hadn't betrayed him. And so I really liked what it did there. But it did a really good job exploring that narrative without coming across as really cheesy or anything. I really like that. And I also too really liked it. It showed a lot of different locations. It doesn't get to Pride Rock until the end. You get to see a lot more of the world here in these different settings, and the visuals are beautiful. Not just the characters, but a lot of the settings and the locations really had a lot of life breathed into them. So I really appreciated that as well. But Evan, what do you think though of it?
I liked it more than I thought I would. I came in to really low expectations because that 2019 film was, I could barely finish it. I was just why am I watching this? It's a waste. It's just the same exact movie with, I hate to say it, but less quality animation because they weren't expressing themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
There was no expression. I was like, why am I watching this? So here they kind of fixed that, and they made this was a weird hybrid of real and animated because they did the lifelikeness of them all, like the locations and the muscles of the cats, and the fur was so spot on, but the faces were readable. You could see emotions, when they were singing, I was so worried about how they would look when they were singing, because I was like, this is going to look weird. It's going to look like the green little Yoda jumping around. It's going to be weird. And I was like, no, I kind of dig it. Like, they fixed it, you know? I was like, all right, cool. So, and the whole, I was very surprised and appreciate the storyline, and coming right off of just showing our kids a Prince of Egypt.
Yeah,
I was kind of proud of my daughter. She's 12 years old. She realized the connection, and she saw the parallels, and I was like, heck yeah, right on. I love it. But yeah, all in all, I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad I didn't know the Barry Jenkins connection. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's cool. So, but yeah, I'm glad we watched it.
Definitely.
I had a fun time in the theater too, because I had a bunch of popcorn. We had the grandparents and everybody. We all made it a big thing, so that was fun. It was a fun time.
It's a great one to take your families to. Like, I mean, I want to take probably my niece, like my nephews because there are some darker elements in this, so they might be like a little too much for them, but because they're younger. But it is a great family event. There were a lot of families when I went, and it like there were some applauses at the end. But yeah, what I like about Barry Jenkins is he's very selective about his projects. So when he commits to something, he goes full in, and is only going to make something if he really wants to. Because it's not uncommon at all for acclaimed and indie directors to go and do a big studio blockbuster. But he was only going to do one if he had a real reverence for the material, and he did really like the script, and that's why he wanted to do this one. So there was definitely a lot of heart and soul poured into this, and it could have been an easy cash grab, and I don't think it is at all. So I definitely recommend this way over the 2019 one, and I wish if they're going to do live action stuff like this, I wish they would make more like this, Maleficent, like that, where it's original stories rather than, shot for shot remakes.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I think we've got some, even with the How to Train Your Dragon, we've got.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
We've got
I saw the trailer for it. Yeah.
So we'll see where this shot for shot thing goes.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing about that one is like, because I love How to Train Your Dragon, and I'm like, and the trailer looks. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if that was an original movie, like I'd be like, oh, I'm there first day. But I have so many reservations about that, because I'm like, why? Why can't we just respect animation as it is and not mess with it? But like, so if you're gonna do a live action, do a different story. But so
and even Disney is doing that double dipping in their most recent ones with the Moana remake too.
Yeah, it's like Moana's already gay, and like Moana's
like,
what?
That's like 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, wait, no way.
Wild.
Hold on. That's
like,
7 or 8 years ago.
7 or 8, yeah. Like not quite a decade, but still. So like very recent. Yeah. It's just like respect animation as a medium, let it be on its own. And yeah, so it's but this one definitely recommend. I think it's really good. Family fun for the holidays. Go check it out. So awesome. Sweet. Well, guys, this has been fantastic. Before we wrap up, is there anything you want to recommend, either from what we talked about here, or anything else connected to? Do you have any recommendations you want to share with the audience?
I think that the only other thing that I've been watching and really enjoying quite a bit is Silo. So I know Silo, but I've been watching the recent season here as the episodes come out, and it just continues to be a really interesting show as it probes this dystopian future and how humanity navigates trying to create a livable society. So anyway, it's a fun season.
That's definitely one I need to check out. I'll be renewing my Apple subscription soon because Severance season 2 is coming. I've been waiting for that, but there's a lot of other Apple stuff I want to catch up on. But Evan, what about you? You got any either of these or anything else you want to recommend?
I don't know if I should recommend it because I fell asleep in the first 20 minutes, but I'm excited to watch a Squid Game to season 2. So,
that is coming. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I had all intentions to watch at least two episodes, but then I woke up with my phone on my face and I was like, no, it didn't happen.
Very cool. Mine would be related to DC. If you've not watched it yet, the documentary on Max of Superman, the Christopher Reeve story.
Oh, yeah.
I got to see it in theaters a few months ago. It's excellent. I recommend that. It is a really great depiction of just Christopher Reeve's life story. Obviously, a lot of it deals with his accident and paralyzation, but it's also just about his career before and after, his family life. Really great story, really well done documentary. So definitely check that out. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. This has been fantastic. And for watchers, listeners out there, thank you so much. If you would be so kind, give us a like, a review wherever you get your podcasts. Like us and follow us on YouTube. That always helps. And a huge shout out to our Patreons. We could not do this without you all. So thank you so much for supporting us. And you can connect with us on Discord too, on social media. We're always looking for recommendations. So feel free to pipe in and join the conversation. And remember, we are all chosen people, a geekdom of priests. Happy New Year.
Do you love systematic geekology as much as I do? Of course you do. So why don't you hop on over to the Systematic Geekology shop and get yourself some merch. We have clothing like hats, extra soft t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies. We even have glassware and mugs. One of my favorite coffee mugs that I use every morning is a coffee mug that has on it, share the faith, share the geek. Yeah, I get my geek on first thing every morning, thinking of systematic geekology. And I know you need to hop over there and get you some merch, represent us out in the wild, out in the public, and let people know that you too like to share the faith and share the geek. Hello, friends. If you like systematic geekology, then there's a host of other podcasts in our network that we think you will like just as much. And so we're part of the Anazao Ministry Podcast Network, and we hope that you can hop over and subscribe with all the podcasts that are on our network. Like, for instance, The Homily, which is, Pastor Will Rose's sermon here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. You have another podcast called The Whole Church Podcast, the OG, the originals, the beginner of it all. Yes, Joshua Noel and TJ working for unity among the church and having great conversations with the wide spectrum of those who are involved in Christian ministry and the church. You have My Seminary Life by Brandon Knight, who's discussing what he's learning in seminary, what's he is learning his theological studies and bringing to the surface those big things that we're wrestling with and thinking through theologically in the church and beyond. There's the Let Nothing Move You podcast from Christian Ashley, who is walking through the Bible in a very Bible study type fashion and walking through the biblical narrative. You have Dummy for Theology. I don't think Joshua is a dummy, but hey, he's going to lift up theological themes that he's thinking about and wrestling with. And maybe there's not a lot of answers, but there's definitely a lot of great questions out there that he's lifting up with some great theologians across the whole spectrum of Christianity. And then there's the Bible After Hours. Man, if you like to get risky, if you like to get controversial, there's this foul-mouthed preacher who goes through the Bible from a more progressive point of view, challenging the status quo of the modern church. Yeah, you don't want any kids around with that podcast. And then you have the Clydes, one of my favorite couples that I like to listen to. One of the hosts here on Systematic Geekology, Taylor and Elizabeth Clyde, go through weekly discussions and a kind of a devotional, conversational method of what's going on in their lives, where they see God moving in their lives, and what God is up to in the world. So those are the podcasts, a part of the AMP network. Subscribe, follow. We hope you can be a part of all that great network with the wonderful podcasts at AMP.